everybody, welcome back to Waving Through a Window. So this week's episode is going to be my opinion on Six the musical. So before I go into what I'm going to be talking about, Six is not Hamilton and Hamilton is not Six. Can we just put that statement out there? Thank you very much. So if you don't know what Six the musical is about, it is about Henry VIII's 6 wives, and they are competing on stage to see who had the worst situation when they were with Henry. So that is kind of like the basis, and each individual queen is inspired by a pop artist. So Jane Seymour is inspired by Adele and someone else I can't quite remember. I think Anne Boleyn is inspired by Lily Allen, and then obviously etc. The other ones are inspired by various artists, which I think is really cool, and you can see that in the costume design, which by the way is epic. If I can find a picture, I'll put it in now. Like, genuinely, it just looks so cool. They need an award for the costume. If anything, just give them an award for the costume. Okay, so I'm going to give you a brief history of some of the queens, briefly. So many people have been talking about Catherine Howard's song, All You Want to Do. The song is actually a lot more meaningful and powerful than you first might think. The song might come across as quite flirtatious and seductive, etc. But as I say, it's a lot more deep and meaningful than that. So Catherine Howard was actually sexually abused by the men she talks about in the song. Francis Durham, I think, was the only one she actually properly fell over head over heels with. Again, if I get any of this wrong, just let me know. I'm not a historian. I've tried to do my research, but there you go. So at the age of 13, she actually fell in love with her music teacher, Henry Mannix. So in the song, she says, I was 13 going on 30. So she was actually saying that she felt older than she actually was, or was doing something older. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, I don't really think it mattered what age. Again, I'm not overly sure. But she was very, very young, and he obviously was a lot older than her, and he abused his power, which isn't great at all. But yes, so that was that point that does get mentioned in the song. The lyrics in the song also, at the end of each line, she kind of goes, all you want to do is, or I can't really do it very well, I've got a sore throat. Listen to the song, you'll get what I mean. But as the song progresses, that turns into a as in, get off me, go away. And this links into the choreography, which is amazing, by the way. If you have watched it live, you would know that it's quite shocking, really, because in the choreography, all the wives put their hands on her and she's trying to get out of that situation. So it's actually quite shocking what she went through. So you get a little snippet into her life, really, from roughly the ages of 13 onwards, until she kind of gets with Henry. So yeah, I thought that was quite poignant and quite a poignant moment. She, I believe, was the 5th wife to Henry. So, you know, she had many predecessors before her. Another thing that kind of pops up in these videos is Jane Seymour. A lot of people have kind of said, especially in the beginning song, Jane Seymour is the only one he truly loved. And as I said, I did some research on this, and it was literally only because she produced a boy. She was Henry's third wife. So the two wives before her didn't produce a boy. I think they produced girls, and so did the following wives. So she was really the only one he loved, because, as I said, a boy back in the day was able to be an heir to the throne, so he could take over Henry when Henry died. But it kind of worked out a bit bad for Henry, because Edward actually died at 16, I think from some sort of disease. But there you go. But people seem to have a little bit of an issue with it, because they only really talk about Jane producing a boy, and that was kind of her only role, which wasn't the case. There was a lot more to her than that. And yeah, although she didn't really have it as difficult in a sense, she still had her situations. And as I say, I think her song is also really, really good. Listen to the whole soundtrack. It's just really, really good. Yeah, you get a different feel to her when you delve into her a bit more. You only see snippets, and you've got to remember, historical theatre performances have artistic licensing, which means you can twist things to make it more interesting for the audience. Otherwise, you're just giving them a history lesson, and if you're just giving a history lesson, it can be horrendously boring. Could you imagine 2 hours or 75 minutes or whatever it may be, just standing there just talking about, the 6 wives? It would be a bit tedious. So it's a lot more fun to have a little bit of, a bit of a twist to these things. Moving on, Anna of Cleves. Whenever I hear that, I just want to go, yeah. House of Holbein is one of my favourite songs in 6. It's such a bop. Like, the costumes for that, and the choreo for that is just great. I love it. It's like modern day Met, the Tudors. It's amazing. But in the song, in the beginning song, she says, what's the specific lyric? It's like, Henry saw, well, this isn't obviously the lyric, but Henry saw a painting of her and thought, she's really pretty. But then he saw it in real life and was like, maybe not. Which is very relevant to today, and how pictures and photos can be manipulated to look different, and it kind of links onto that theme of body image, which is very present in today's society. And I feel like it's very specifically aimed at social media. Social media shouldn't be blamed for everything, because that's not the case. But when it comes to body image and stuff like that, people like to change how they look. And we should all be proud of who we are, people. Yes. And also, Anna of Cleves was Henry's 4th wife. So, yes. I also really like the fact that the writers have included, like, the fact that all of these wives are telling their story about one specific person, and how Henry had made such an impact on their lives, but also they made an impact on his life. And in the end song, when it gets to like the finale bit, and it goes, we're 6, we're one of a kind, and that's really powerful, because all 6 of them have had, although different experiences, they've all had the same encounter with Henry, and they've all experienced his wrath, and now it's time for him to experience theirs. And I think that's amazing, in all fairness. So yeah, I genuinely really think 6 is just an awesome musical. I think it, as time goes on, I think it will get more popular. I wish they maybe did a little bit more delving into, but as I said, it'd probably turn into a history lesson rather than a musical. And I think think, if I'm not mistaken, it's roughly 75 minutes long. I read that somewhere. I don't know if that's actually true. And it's one of the shorter musicals I've ever come across. So it's a lot of stuff to fit into that time frame. So yes, they deserve a massive round of applause for that, because it's a very hard-hitting musical once you get into it. And I think it's really good that we have a musical that reflects our history as well. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Waving Through a Window video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments, as I say, if I got any bits wrong, or what your opinions are of 6. And I'll see you guys next week for another one. Bye.